Hi guys, this is Simon with Trade and Perform Coaching, doing the trade review for Monday, the 8th of August. Excuse me, the 4th of August. There's the dyslexia. It's 8-4, not 4-8. Man, it was a pretty interesting day actually. So, in setting up the days, there's two things that I wanted to accomplish, and the only way I know how to teach is the way that is to communicate what I do as well as I can with my 20 years of experience into actionable steps someone can take to learn how to trade. And so the first thing that I do when I try to come into the day is I try to determine, well, what's the odds that we're going to be in balance? What's the odds that we are going to have a trend day up? What's the odds that we are short or long, right? So coming into today, first of all, there was no news on the horizon. Usually that leads to a balanced day. Most balanced days, we trade sideways for the most part. That was accomplished. For certainly the first half of the day. We were absolutely balanced. No question about that. Okay. The next thing that I wanted to be cautious of coming into the day is we are down a lot. Let's take a quick look at a larger picture here. All right, and instead of, just pop up a new chart. And, well, not quite, but I will get this going here properly. So we have traveled quite a bit of distance in a very little bit of time. We're basically traveled from 1986 all the way down to 1910. That is, well, that's 75 points of rotation lower, with little to no counter rotation, and in particular, we had two very hard down days back to back. The rule usually is, after I see a very hard down day, is to look for long opportunities the 2 days after the downside move. Now, I certainly think in this particular case we had some upside available. Part of the problem here, and I think I'm just getting a little slow, so I want to get to the punch. I didn't want to be overly short in the hole because the market constantly snaps back. This is a great example. Even if it's eventually going to work its way to the downside, snapbacks are very common. We had a snapback today, and the question was, could I find a way to get positioned for it to the long side without getting hurt? What I was hoping for, or what I was hoping could happen today, was that we would get a move into Friday's lows, and I could take a long out of Friday's low for a push back to the upside. That didn't happen. Okay. When we came in this morning, the NQ versus the ES, NQ was much stronger than ES was, and quite frankly, ES was just lethargic. Okay, this is basically a 4-point rotation. I find it very hard to make a profit there. So again, my goal is to avoid or sidestep as many losing potentialities as possible. And even if I miss some winning trades, that's okay with me, as long as I don't rack up a significant number of losing trades in between. So basically, once I saw this sideways action, I basically decided that I needed to see a move out of this area here before I took a trade one way or the other. That didn't occur prior to 10:30 a.m. Generally speaking, I have the majority of profits occur prior to 10:30 a.m. So a couple of things about that I do want to take note. I encourage the people who follow me, please use spreadsheets, keep track of the zones, their success rates, right? Does it work the first time into the zone? Is there a rotation back up? So if you were in the morning meeting, which many of y'all won, I actually created this zone, this 1918 to 1920 zone, and if you look, the first time into 1920, right, we rotated 2 points up. First time into this 1925 location right here, we rejected out of the zone and pushed down for obviously well more than 2 points to the downside, right? What that means at that point is that this zone, on this move right here, this zone had been tested, and on this move up, this zone had been tested. Why is that important? Because in the second move back into the zone, right, had you taken this trade at at 1918, you would have been stopped out at 1915. Okay, that's what the focus. That's why I want to bring back the focus to the first touch, right? Because the first touch generally yields a quick, relatively quick 2 points. Okay, at least for my style of trading, that's more than enough. Because what I'm trying to achieve is a string of these 2-point trades, all strung together over a course of time, and then increase my trade size as I move along. So, okay, that being said, I thought ES was lethargic. I'm going to switch gears here for a second, and I want to point something out. NQ was much stronger today out of the gate. You'll see that when we opened up. I'm going to open this up. First of all, NQ, let's bring this in for a second so everyone can see. We were also way down on NQ in terms of how far we've rotated at this point. I'll bring up a chart really fast. And I realize I don't do this in a necessarily it may actually even be a painful manner, okay? But the reason why I'm not polished necessarily, and I'm not corporate. It's not supposed to be a salesman's job, right? I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm not trying to present this as, hey, I've got the formula for you to become a billionaire. That I don't have. What I do have is in my own personal trading an ability to consistently stack profits, one upon the other. Now, I have losing days just like everyone else, right? But what I'm trying to help people do in this process is to find a way to become a professional trader and get consistent, okay? And that doesn't necessarily mean that so in exchange for that, right, if I'm just calling trades out, it doesn't really matter what I say, right? Because I can find a way to spin it so that it's right. But once you say, hey, I've taken trade X and I move from point A to point B and I've exited trade X, there's not much anyone can say about that. You either made money or you didn't. So in that case, first of all, we've had a huge rotation down, right? Notice this is a move basically from 39.90 all the way down to 38.50 essentially. So that's 50, 90, 140 points, okay? And if you look, that's substantially larger move than any of these down moves, even if you look at it all the way to completion from here to here or from here to here, right? 39.40 to 39.60. This is a substantial move. It made sense that we were going to get a responsive move back higher. I pointed that out in the live market preview, right, when I was setting up the day. If you come into NQ, and I said there's two areas where we could move back into. One was this area here, this 38.94.95 area, which we rejected out of. Essentially, here's the first time we rejected out of it, and here's the second time. It really looked like we were pretty strong. I thought we'd be able to move further in. At first, we did not, right? And then this is the second area that I said I'd be looking for a potential rejection. I'm still looking for a potential rejection on this tomorrow. Potentially, right? So when we started to break down and finally realized ES had already broken down and NQ had made the move, and this is the Globex low right here, and we really didn't make much of a move. We spent about 10 minutes underneath Globex low, and I posted on the private Twitter stream that I have for the members of the live market preview that if we closed above Globex low, that I thought sellers would be trapped at that point, and that we would make a push at least to the other end of the range, and that's exactly what we got. Now, this push at the end of the day was a big bonus. I pretty much took multiple points, actually everywhere from 4. I believe my best extension was 11 or 12 points on this trade. But the point of it was that we did have them trapped, and importantly, when we move to new lows, okay, it's very important psychologically that you not get bearish and instead look for what the opportunities are for a move in the opposite direction, because all these markets are doing, when you look at it, doesn't matter which way it's going with the exception of a couple of straight up days, right? The majority of the time, if you look over the history of markets, right, we're doing this 90% of the time. We may take a big zig down, we may take a big zig up, but the majority of the time, we're just doing this back and forth, okay? If you get bearish down here, you're going to get smoked on a push up here. It may eventually get down here. In other words, what I'm trying to say is that the market's going to follow a path, even if you know it's going to follow a path from point A, and we don't ever know, but even if we knew, from here to here, right? It's usually going to follow a path that's going to look something like this, zigging back and forth, okay? It will rarely, if ever, be straight down, okay? What that means is you can't afford to get bearish when we're pushing lows, especially after we've had multiple days down, right? No more than you can afford to. Usually, the last couple months have been the exception. Any more than you can afford to get bullish when the market's pushing highs. So, that being said, I did not take the shorts up here. I did not take shorts in ES this morning because we had a lack of rotation higher, and I was trying to read the market to kind of get an idea of which way we were going, and frankly, I couldn't read it very clearly, so I did nothing. I chose NQ over ES because ES was lethargic and weak in the morning, and NQ, right, same trade, NQ was strong in the morning. Therefore, when the trap set up and the move to the upside, I had confidence to take NQ. Therefore, I took NQ over ES. It's not that always that easy for people to switch back and forth. I think it's incredibly important to have the ability to kind of fluctuate between the two markets, both ES and NQ, if at all possible, okay? And importantly, one trade was all you needed today, and it happened to be the trade that I called, NQ, long side trade, and the shorts were squeezed. The last piece that I want to bring up on this trade review, okay, that's very important. If you've been following me for any period of time, you'll see in the afternoon that I'm nowhere near as exuberant to trade in the afternoon. So I want to follow this concept of the zones, okay? So this is the first time into the zone. This is first time into the zone down here. You got to remember, the zone was 1920, right? So this is second time into the zone, okay? This zone failed second time. This is the second time into the zone, and while it initially rejected, it eventually was able to trade through. Again, focus is on first time in. This is afternoon, and now I got to give a concession here. Normally, I would expect at least a pause or a rotation back down, even in the afternoon. This zone happened to fail and come out and stop for 2 points behind. That happens on occasion. But that being said, when people ask me, Simon, why do you have a hesitation for trading in the afternoon? Well, the reason why is because the market gets illiquid a lot of times in the afternoon, and psychologically, I hate taking a drawdown at the end of the day when I have to wait till the next day to make money. And usually, I got to tell you, I've got to really work on my attitude overnight. If I take a loss at the end of the day, I've got to go, well, really, if I get a profitable trade in the morning, I'm just kind of recovering. I get this. I want to say kind of like this feeling of I'm just really recovering ground of what I gave back from the prior day, right? Think of that mentality versus I have a profitable trade at the beginning of the day. I book it. Maybe even I have 2 or 3 when it's the easiest time of the day. I have 2 or 3 profitable trades at the beginning of the day, and then I turn around and I have, let's say, just for the sake of conversation, these were actually 10-point rotations. I got 2 points here, and I got 2 points here, just for the sake of conversation, right? And then I get the trap trade on NQ, right? So at this point of the day, I already have 3 trades. I'm up nicely on the day, and then let's say it gets over here to the end of the day and it comes in the zone, and I'm going to go, oh, Friday's high, first time into the zone, 50 retrace, all kinds of things that were helping. This is what this is on the charts, are potential areas of strong rejection is what this is. It's why I have the chart highlighted like this, okay? So I get up here and I go, oh, right into an area of strong rejection. I'm going to make a lot of money. I'm going to put on a full-size trade. And I ended up getting stopped, right? And then not only that, but imagine what would happen usually, right? So at the end of the day, you just got stopped on this trade. What's the odds that you're going to take this trade with 20 or 30 minutes left to go in the day? I would go with the odds are very low if you just got stopped here that you're going to come in for a second potential linking right here, right? So first of all, you had the agony of getting stopped, which no one enjoys, and then you watched as a trade which was perfectly located, right, moves to the downside. So what I want to emphasize, about that is if you'll focus the majority of your efforts in the morning, and I know it's been slow in the morning, but if you'll focus your efforts there, and you come out of the day with a winning with a win, right? There's no need to push later in the day, right? And if you do push, please, I would emphasize, reduce your trade size to account for thinner markets. There's all kinds of, I know several traders that either they simply choose not to trade late in the afternoon or they significantly cut their trade size, right? If you got stopped in this zone, I wouldn't feel overly bad. There was actually a lot of reasons to take a short here. We had tick divergence initially, and then we had tick extreme here. Sorry about that, guys. My dog heard something, and that was that. So, okay, so the point that I'm trying to bring up is there was a lot of things that actually showed a potential short in this area. It was the first time into this zone. This is definitely a legitimate zone. You can see we came right back down into it. Okay. The other thing that I want to point out here today is even if you got stopped here, right, a lot of people said, oh, well, perhaps I'll take the long right in here, right? We're going to go, and you get overly emotionally excited. You think we're going to close at the high of the day. Okay, these are mistakes that amateur traders make, and if you look at this not rip off as in ripped off, as in ripped down, is what I meant to say, from 1937 all the way down to 1932, right at the end of the day. Okay, so the zones are valid still at the end of the day. It's just very hard, in my opinion, it's much harder trading, and it's very easy to get run over in end-of-day trading. So reduce size if you're going to take it, and then be mentally prepared to deal with the fact that the zone may break at the end of the day due to thinner trading. It's much easier to concentrate your efforts here, and then also keep a balance between what's stronger, NQ or ES. Anyways, my name is Simon. I'm trying to take what is a rather difficult topic, which is how to trade consistently, right, and how to use these zones effectively, bring it into a package that someone can understand, and teach them not only just how to chart, because I really think charting only makes up 25% of your trading, but also how to mentally prepare and win the mental game of trading. And so to wrap it up, what goes into that, right? First of all, a relaxation and acceptance that there's risk at every trade that you take, right? Number two, you won't always have wins, and you don't always have to have wins, but you have to know that the majority of your trades will be successful. If you're day trading with leverage, right, you have to have a very high win rate in order to make that in order to make that work. Okay, your most successful times, or the easiest times of the day, are between market open and generally 10:30 and 11 a.m. Central Time. Okay, and then the last piece: have a written plan. Right, have a trade plan, and have a trade plan you can follow. And as Dr. Menaker always hammers, make your goals process goals. Don't worry about what the outcome is. If you actually have an edge, that edge will pay off. Okay, and if you follow those rules repeatedly, you will, and you should, at the end of that formula, end up having profitable trades. I know I certainly do. I've seen others. I've seen other people have it come through for them as well. And then the last piece is all you need is one or two good trades. If you could have managed not getting frustrated in all of this, you ended up with essentially a long trade, an NQ, not the low of the day, but pretty damn close. And what ended up resulting in this call was from 76. The high was 16. So that ended up being a 40-point move, $800 a contract from this point right here to this point right here. And I don't know what else to say other than that's why you leave trailers, folks, to get the home runs. As a matter of fact, I'll have to improve on that myself. I did not expect us to have that strong a run. Oh, one last piece, and I hammer this every day, right? What's the most common formula that we see in markets on down days? This formula right here. I hammer it over and over again. If you'd like to get an edge, you can take a look at the blog. Anyone's welcome to request a 7-day trial of the live market preview. There's the live market preview has a web page on the blog, and there's a PayPal link there. It's $95 a month. And if you would like more one-on-one coaching to get help with your trading, contact me, and I'll see if I can work you in. I'm not actively looking to really add anyone right now, but if you make a good case for me that you need some help and you have the desire to learn, I will see when there's open space if I can pop you in. Anyways, I hope everyone had a great day. I certainly hope this helped. And anyone can learn to trade profitably, but it's not necessarily easy, and especially when the market is shifting gears like it is right now. But I do believe, and I know for a fact that I've helped people get profitable and consistent, and I do believe that anyone who applies themselves can do that. So anyways, I hope everyone has a great night, and I will see you on the morning. Goodbye.